Celebrating the individual. Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Welcome to Silverstone Festival 2024, where epic race action across the last 100 years is at the heart of this fabulous festival. And what a show we have in store for you. So some of you might be thinking, where's my co-host, Ant Anstead? Well, as a truly iconic car turned 60 this year, to celebrate, we sent Ant over the pond to find out more.
Now, this year is an important one for a certain iconic classic car. Now, very few cars deserve or even earn the status as icon, but let me be crystal clear about this. This car absolutely does. This year is the 60th birthday of the Ford Mustang. Now, this stretch of road is known as Pacific Coast Highway. It's the original Highway 1. It runs down the coastline of California. Now, what better tribute than driving a classic Mustang on its 60th birthday on Highway 1. So let's start at the beginning. Now, there was this fella called John Najjar. He was an engineer working at Ford. Now, by some chance meeting, Henry Ford himself was touring the factory. He went up to John and asked the question, "Do you enjoy your job?" Now, John's reply changed the face of automotive history because he said, "I'd rather be drawing cars." Now, later, John became a Ford stylist in the design department, and he co-designed the Ford Mustang. Now, when the car was launched in 1964, it offered great styling and performance, but most importantly, at an affordable cost. This car was around $1,000 cheaper than any of its competitors. But to put that into context, back in the 60s, it was about a third cheaper. The Ford Mustang was an immediate hit. It was innovative, it was rebellious. It went on to change how all cars were designed, developed, and eventually sold. For me, the Mustang represents a cruiser's car, but let's not forget that this is a very capable race car as well. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we've got so many race Mustangs, all pre-1966, on the track at Silverstone Festival. You know what, the word icon gets thrown around willy-nilly nowadays. But you just can't imagine any other word to associate with Mustang. I mean, this car, 60 years later, still feels cool. You know what? Happy birthday, Mustang. You're looking good for 60.
What a car. Now here's a look at what we've got coming up over the next hour. We kick off the action with the historic Formula Junior as racing gets underway in style.
Then it's the turn of the touring cars as we tune in for the MRL Historic Touring Car Challenge. And I'll be cooking up a storm over at the Silverstone Kitchen Live.
Sounds delicious. Up next is the Masters Sports Car Legends, featuring the best of the 60s and 70s, before I try my hand at auctioneering.
Ant catches up with YouTuber Jimmy Broadbent before our final race of the day as we celebrate the iconic Mustang in style in the Pure Michigan Mustang Celebration Trophy.
Historic Formula Junior celebrates the open-wheel category that became the launchpad for future Formula One stars like Jim Clark, who would go on to win 2 top-tier world championships after cutting his teeth in the juniors. keep your eye out for the rear-engined Lotus 22s, a car Peter Arundel raced to the 1962 Formula Junior Championship. Also on show, you'll see the Brabham BT6, driven by the likes of future F1 world champion Denny Hulme in 1963. Time to enjoy the roar of the young lions.
We are ready to send our Formula Juniors into battle. 25 minutes of frantic, rushing action. And we are underway with the historic Formula Juniors. Front row with the red nose, that's Alex Ames in the Brabham, the pole sitter, the pale blue car of Michael O'Brien in second, and the gold Renmax of Samuel Harrison in third place. Then the green and purple helmet, the Cooper of Sam Wilson in fourth place. Down the inside, the bright yellow car, that is Andrew Hibbard making a move on Callum Grant. And there's a challenge for the lead, and already Michael O'Brien, one of the leading lights in this category, takes the lead, and the Renmax of Samuel Harrison on the inside as they come onto the Wellington straight, and look at them all trying to bunch up and grab the toe behind.
And Sam Wilson coming up well. We didn't see him yesterday, fourth on the grid, and he's challenging for second place, almost four abreast into Brooklands. And Samuel Harrison, who is now in third place, Alex Ames in second, but slightly out of shot. There he is in the blue car. Michael O'Brien leads.
There's plenty of adrenaline pumping action, and three wide into Stowe, tucking up the inside, the red and yellow Merlin. Callum Grant making a really challenging move there, somehow finding room between his two rivals. He slots up into second place. That was an epic move. And down the inside, here comes the yellow car as well, and Horatio Fitzsimon slides through.
There's Samuel Harrison, and Samuel Harrison's going to spin. That is something you do not see very often. Samuel is an excellent driver and very careful, but he just nipped the corner a little bit too tight. The back came out and he couldn't save it. Here, side by side, is Ames and Wilson as they go into Beckett's. Wilson gets ahead, so Sam Wilson just ahead of Alex Ames.
Andrew Hibbert slots up past Alex Ames, up to fifth. Carried a little too much speed in there, didn't he? And this is all part of it. You can get a good run down the inside, but if you can't get the car stopped, then that speed is all to no avail. Leader on the last lap. Time has run out for everybody in our Formula Junior opener for today, and it will be the checkered flag out for Michael O'Brien. He is a serial winner in this category, and he does it again. Claims victory here.
It was never in doubt, was it? You had the form yesterday too.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very confident in the wet, but of course you never quite know in the dry. I actually picked up a small problem on the warm-up lap in the car, and it made the race sort of significantly more difficult, but once I'd got the gap, I could just maintain then. I wasn't worried about putting in quick times, just about maintaining that gap, and yeah, it was good. Luckily, could just click the laps off and bring it home.
So Michael O'Brien, the clear winner, he made his break. Horatio Fitzsimon, yeah, it's starting to look like a man who wonders what he has to do to get some good luck here at Silverstone. Sam Wilson in third. Alex Ames was fourth, ahead of Hibbert and De Silva. And our winning front-engine driver, Ray Mallock, in 20th place.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Now, if all that racing has worked up an appetite, I have come to the best place. I've come to the Silverstone Kitchen Live, where a whole array of brilliant chefs are doing live cooking demos. And I'm about to join the 2021 Great British Bake Off winner, the brilliant Giuseppe Delano, on stage and ask him what it's like cooking in front of the Silverstone crowd. Go on, let's go inside. what have we got? What are you baking?
So I'm baking a clementine cake today. It's an upside-down cake.
Ooh, wow.
What I like about this is that it looks really stunning and it's effortlessly so.
Oh,
So
I'm
you don't
sure
have to
I
do-
would mess it up.
Oh.
So you put some sugar in the bottom.
Yes, because that will caramelize in the oven, and when
Lovely.
you tilt it over, it will create a nice
Hold
sauce.
it.
Yes, because I used to work on the very materials, the carbon fiber composites they make the Formula
really?
One cars. That was my field of specialism.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so I'm now still in the same space, doing something very different.
It looks lovely, the texture and...
Yeah, and it smells very, very citrusy.
Oh.
We've got
Ta-da!
a bit of a Blue Peter moment.
That was a very quick 30 minutes.
I know. That's the magic of TV for you.
Hooray! Oh, here we go. Oh, wow.
It smells fantastic.
Oh, my God, that's beautiful.
This is where you upload, by the way, yeah?
That's fabulous. Right, that's it. I'm taking that one.
I'll take that one, if you don't mind.
Whilst Giuseppe is signing his book in the background, let's go and see what Ant's up to. I think he's found someone who's travelled a very, very long way.
The cool thing about the festival is it attracts drivers from all over the world, including this fella here, Simon, who's come all the way from Australia. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, likewise,
Dude,
mate.
It's a long way to come.
Oh, this festival's pretty amazing. It's the opportunity to jump in this thing, mate, you'd fly halfway around the world, wouldn't you? Surely.
Before we get into your air miles, tell us about the car.
1991 Nissan Skyline R32 GTR, Group A race car. Built to the specs of the day.
Right.
We're here racing them in the historic touring car classes as replicas with some genuine cars as well, and running around having a great time.
It's obviously a long way to come. You've flown from Australia to get to England. Worth it?
Oh, most definitely. Silverstone circuit and just this whole event, 30 years out in centre.
Well, I wish you well in the race. It's pretty slippery out there now, a bit wet.
Which will work in our favour a little bit.
Oh!
Because we're the only four-wheel drive car on the grid, amongst a couple of more of these.
Oh, so this is good for you?
This is actually good for us, believe it or not.
Love it. Right, I'll get out of your way.
Good on.
Yeah, I mean, Simon has a good point. The fact that it's raining at Silverstone is actually quite interesting because in the grid of cars that he's racing in, his car has four-wheel drive. That means all four wheels turn at the same time. And actually in the wet, that favours him. The two-wheel drive cars are likely to skid out. So I've actually got quite high hopes because Australia is a long way to come and not do well.
The Adrian Flux Trophy for MRL Historic Touring Car Race is about to get underway here at a streaming wet Silverstone. Poleman Julian Thomas in the Caliber Ford Sierra, run by Andy Rouse, to the British Touring Car Championship title, leads away from David Tomlin. Tomlin looking around the outside as they head down the straight into Abbey for the very first time, tippy-toeing their way around, and the Welsh colours and the tortoise on the outside. He looks like he's found enough grip, but not quite. It is Julian Thomas who holds the lead. Third place is the black car, Paul Mensley and Michael Lyons, not sure who started that. And then the BMW CSL coming through from row 3 of the grid. Well, Alistair, a clean enough start so far, but Julian Thomas in the lead, jumping away as car number 22, the Mensley Lions RS500, moves up to second. Here comes the BMW CSL, so 3-litre straight-six fuel-injected BMW. There is the horsepower as the turbo spools up on the RS500 Sierra Cosworth, just absolutely disappears in front and leaves the BMW in a ball of spray. The Brown and Gammons car coming around the outside, number 85. This is David Brown. He's up to third, I think, unless there's somebody in the spray behind the Mensley and Lyons car. Daniel Brown, beg your pardon. So the Brown and Gammons car up to third place. And here is the Redcoat car in fourth. And that means that David Tomlin slipping down to fifth position. We have got a couple of pit lane callers. Well, there is the leader. He's been caught, Julian Thomas. Yeah, great looking move on the inside, but he has to then turn out tighter, can't get the hammer down quite as quickly onto the Wellington straight. But Julian Thomas runs out very wide, runs out of grip on the grass, loops into a half spin, and that will be a proper Code Brown moment for the driver. He'll select first gear and try and rejoin, but nobody is going to see him there in the spray. The race leader, Paul Mensley, won't worry about rain coming in and making his overalls wet. It's all about being able to see where you're going, and the Brown and Gammon's car is in the gravel, and that might be a safety car. Okay, so pit window is open. Darren Fielding in the BMW E30 M3 comes in, so too, critically, does Rick Wood. Somebody decided not to come in yet. That's the Michael Caine, Dave Bartram car. Stays out behind the safety car. They have not yet stopped. Ready to go back to green flag racing. The safety car has pulled off. Pit stops have been underway, but the Michael Caine, Dave Bartram, Sierra Cosworth has stayed out, and that is looking like a tactical error. Everybody else has stopped and is starting to rejoin the circuit. Here you can see, look, he's already catching drivers who have just taken over their cars and are not going quickly because they've got no experience of the track. And Mike Manning's Eggenberger Sierra has also gone rally crossing. The Broadspeed Capri, though, is going to bring out the second safety car of the race. And this is, whoa, see the front wheels completely locked. Driver desperately trying to get the steering to work, but at that stage, it can either slow down or steer. Been there, done that. The Camaro has also had a looping half spin. Oh, and there's the Mark III Capri. And the safety car is coming out as we see the red coats. Cosworth finally come in to make its pit stop with 40 seconds on the clock. That's either luck or judgment, and I'm not going to call on that. That's either brilliance or skin of their teeth.
And the leaders are in as well. So they finally come in. Michael Caine, number 41, the red Sierra, handing over to Dave Bartram. And in terms of the shakeout after the pit stops, as we expected, the red Sierra, Caine and Bartram, has dropped back. But interestingly, Darren Fielding in one of the BMWs has taken over the lead.
It is a red flag. Never going to argue with the race director for erring on the side of caution. Red flag has gone to checker, so we are not going to see any further laps, I'm afraid, from the Adrian Flux Trophy. So it will be victory for car number 8, the BMW E30 M3 of Darren Fielding. Darren Fielding in the BMW M3 tops the podium ahead of the four-wheel drive Skyline of Rick Wood, and David Tomlin in his Sierra Cosworth RS500 in third place. So what of Australian Simon Arthur in the Nissan Skyline? Well, he started well, but in the torrential conditions, hit standing water and an early spin. Luckily, he managed to get the car going once more. It was clearly not to be his weekend, however, and he soon headed into the pit lane for retirement. A terminal mechanical issue. A long way to come, but perhaps worth it to race for the first time at this iconic Silverstone Grand Prix circuit.
After the break, you're going to be trying a bit of auctioneering.
I am going to be turning my hand at auctioneering, yes.
Have you done it before?
I haven't actually, no.
This is going to be exciting, but it literally starts in a couple of minutes, so we've got to get a wiggle on. How are we going to get there?
Wait there.
What is that?
Taxi!
What is that? Are you sitting there?
We've got to go that way to the auction
Right,
house.
come on then. Oh, God.
Well, found the gear.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Hello and welcome back to the Silverstone Festival 2024. So a really big thing about the festival is the car clubs. And we have cars that come in from all over the UK, and especially if they've got something to celebrate.
Yeah, and this year is no exception because there's some important milestones when you consider 100 years of cars spread all over Silverstone, including the 35th birthday of the best-selling sports car of all time, the Mazda MX-5. But it's also an important birthday for the Mazda MX-5 Owners Club, who happen to be 30. Ian, you look great for 30.
I wish I was.
You do, you look great.
Indeed.
Hi, Ian, how are you?
How are you doing? Very good to see you.
What is it about the MX-5 that makes it the best-selling sports car of all time?
I think it's just its accessibility and the driving experience that it offers. It's designed to be, maintenance-proof for anybody can look after it. The whole car, from its inception, is about the owner.
This is a car that's just been so special to me for so long, just because I've grown up with the Mark I MX-5. My dad's had his Mark I Dakar for 26 years now, so this particular edition has just been really special to me for such a long time. So being able to find it in such good condition and be able to own it is just a dream.
So you've inherited the MX-5 bug?
I have, yeah.
It's hereditary.
I can't ignore it. Yes, it is. It is.
Well, this year's the 75th anniversary of the Healey Silverstone. Although it was built in Warwick, it was tested here, and as a tribute, they named it after the track.
That's so cool. But actually, Donald Healey only produced 105 of these. And then he joined Austin, and what I think is one of the most prettiest cars ever, made the Austin Healey 3000. I mean, look, it's gorgeous.
You love the 3000?
Yeah.
What, you take the Austin Healey 3000 over the Healey Silverstone?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely. Yeah, look at it.
Are you sure?
We've made it to the Maseratis. They are 110 years old. I mean, they've been around a long time, and we are standing in front of a very special one. So this is the Mistral, and this is the Spider version. So it's got a 4-litre straight six. This one's extremely rare because they made 120 of these cars, and they only made 4 right-hand drive.
Wow.
And this is one of them. And as you can see, it is in amazing condition. It really is. It's beautiful. And it also has a mechanical fuel injection for the late 60s. It's
complicated to fix.
Very, very. But isn't it beautiful? So I have found the Mustangs. Guys, is this yours?
It is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's beautiful. Tell me a bit more.
We've had her about 5 years. She's a 289 V8, 1965 Mustang.
Is she like an everyday driver, or is she just something special?
At least 3 times a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, Claire, have you had to do much work to her?
Jason has.
Jason. Over to you. You just get to drive her. You can do all the
Drive and
mechanical
clean.
side.
OK, you've got 60 years of Mustang, and you get to choose any Mustang, but you can only choose one. Do you go for the classic Mustang?
Ooh.
Kind of mid-range or something brand new?
No, I think it's got to be classic. I mean, they just look at them. They look amazing. Gotta be a classic.
Classic?
Yeah,
What,
60s.
not the new one?
Well, I mean, I like it. So right now, let's head over to the Masters Sports Car Legends.
Master Sports Car Legends. It is sunny, but in places the track is pretty damp. In the sun, on the wet track, we unleash the field for 50 minutes of Master Sports Car Legends racing, and it is the Ferrari 512 of David and Olivier Hart that leads the field from pole position. Claridge and Gomez starting second in their little Lola T290, and then the big white Lola T70, and that is the Pearson and Brundle car with a yellow Ferrari 512 in 4th place, driven by Lucas Haluza and Alex Ames. But look out for the Royale with the multicoloured stripes in 5th position. Dan Eagling always goes very well in that 2-litre sports car. And Alistair Douglas, what the 2-litre cars lose in horsepower, they are going to make up for in lighter weight and traction on this slippery surface.
Very much so, yes, and Dan Eagling in the Royale is one of the better drivers in the smaller cars, although Goncalo Gomez is in the 117 yellow and blue Lola T296, second on the grid in dry qualifying and still second in the race, but the track a very different proposition now, so it'll be interesting to see if Gonzalo can get through and challenge the big Ferrari of David Hart as they come down into Copse Corner, but he's still in second place, but side by side for third is the Ferrari and the Lola T70.
Well, you saw Alex Brundle in that, and a little spinner there.
And that's the Julian Thomas B8. What a brilliant battle we've got for the lead. We're privileged to have any Ferrari 512M racing, to have two of them, like we did last year. And unfortunately, looks like a bit of contact there between Alex Brundle and Gonzalo Gomez, which has dropped them both back into the clutches of Dan Eagling.
Well, there's two cars off at the side, and somebody else off. That's De Quesada and Garbel, car number 5. Safety car is out. We go back to green flag racing as Alex Ames drops the hammer. Big slides from both Ferraris, Alex Ames and David Hart, as they come across the start-finish line. Alex Brundle in 3rd place. In 4th place is the Willison Yerbstal Lola T70, and the leader goes off wide. And Alex Ames somehow picks up the lead in the yellow Ferrari. Now, did he do that by going off wide? Or did David Hart make a mistake? Hart lunges to the inside. Ames leaves the door just slightly ajar. This is edge-of-the-seat stuff in multi-million-pound Ferraris. 2 Ferrari 512M Le Mans cars at the front of the field, and Alex Brundle trying to get in amongst them in the Lola T70. He's having a good run down. He goes by Alex Ames. Now he's behind David Hart. The pit window will open in a moment or two, and Brundle goes through on the inside at Brooklands, over the curbs, loses traction. David Hart going the long way around the outside, just keeping up that momentum into Luffield. Now looking to open the taps. Here comes Brundle, but the Ferrari is a match for it in terms of pace. They are wheel to wheel as they come out of Luffield past the old start-finish line. Brundle gets his nose in front. David Hart under pressure as well from Alex Ames, the yellow car on the inside. A big squirm and the tiniest of contacts. Ames up into 2nd place, carried too much speed into Copse, back down to 3rd, but it is Brundle that leads. Alex Brundle in the pit lane from the lead. Now, is there a driver change, or is Gary Pearson not taking over? Gary Pearson is not taking over.
No.
Alex stays in. And here comes the Ferrari, perfectly placed to try and make a move. Maybe not on the run down through Maggots into the Beckett's S's, but certainly when they come out of the Chapel Curve down the Hanger Straight, it's going to be a done deal. Brundle leaves space. Hart coming with so much head of steam. Olivier Hart just fighting the car every inch of the way, is now back in the race lead. The checkered flag awaits. It is victory for David and Olivier Hart's Ferrari. Who's going to take 2nd place? It is going to be Alex Brundle driving solo in the Lola T70. No, it's not. It's going to be James Claridge in the Ultramar Lola. It's going to be a drag race to the line, 3 wide across the line. I think it was Claridge. It was by millimetres as they went around the outside of Richard McAlpine's McLaren 1B. Poor Richard McAlpine probably had no idea what was going on behind him. Victory did go to David and Olivier Hart. I've seen Olivier Hart pull out some epic performances, and that ranks with anything else. David and Olivier Hart win it for Ferrari. The Lola arm wrestle ended up in less than half the blink of an eye between Claridge and Brundle. Greensall finishing 4th on his own, Dan Eagling in 5th, and Lucas Alusa taking over from Alex Ames to finish in 6th place in the yellow Ferrari. The RAC Woodcote Trophy and Stirling Moss Trophy are a pair of hour-long races for 1950 sports cars run together as one. The streaming wet track conditions led to a number of incidents, including Shane Brereton getting stuck in the gravel and causing a safety car. In the blue Lister Costin, Nigel Greensall battled Roger Wills in his ex-Bruce McLaren Lotus 15 for the lead. In another Lotus, an 11, Gareth Burnett had a big moment. David Hart climbed to second in the Stirling Moss Trophy in his Lister Costin, but the Woodcote Trophy was all about D-types, car 9 Ben Eastick finishing third. Richard Hudson Stuart Morley's Lister Nobby spun out right at the end, showing that conditions had barely improved. But it was Nigel Greensall who started in 6th in the Lister Costin, leading through the pit stops, having won the battle with Roger Wills and the Lotus 15. He used the power of the Jaguar engine to take a well-deserved victory.
Every year at the Silverstone Festival, they have a classic car auction, and that auction is unique because they sell competition cars as well. And Silverstone is the perfect platform to sell a race car. Now, you can hear the auction's underway, cars are currently going for sale, and I've got my eye on a few of these in the auction as well. But I've specifically asked Jodie to come because I think I found the perfect car that she should buy.
I mean, there's some seriously cool cars here.
I'm thinking the Alfa Romeo. This is the car from Absolutely Fabulous, and you remind me a bit of Patsy. So this should be your car.
Well, you know where to find me then. I'm off to the bar.
Now, for a car to get best value at auction, it needs to present well. It needs to have nice paint, nice interior to entice buyers to bid. But actually, the thing that adds the biggest value is the car's provenance, it's its history. So if a car is owned by somebody with notoriety, or a previous owner has notoriety, it could really raise the value of the car, like this Ford Escort. This is owned by a certain Mr. Jeremy Clarkson. Now, this year is a particularly nerve-wracking auction for me because I happen to be selling 2 of my own cars in this sale. And in a little bit, I'm going to be able to go on the rostrum and hopefully drum up some interest for the sale of my cars. I'm going to be handing over to Rob, who's going to be selling 2 brilliant cars, 2 British cars, a Jaguar and a Dolomite. Please bid high, because these are 2 really, really great cars.
Go 7 surely then at 6,005. Can't believe it then at 6,005.
The auctions are a real rush. I can't decide which I prefer, selling cars or buying cars. It's almost like time slows down, but it's a real buzz.
So I have found a little bit of America here at the Silverstone Festival, and I am joined by the lovely Yolanda Fletcher, who works for Pure Michigan. So how proud are the people of Michigan about particularly the Mustang, but obviously Henry Ford as well?
Yes, well, the Detroit people are so very proud of their city.
Yeah.
And Henry Ford put the world on wheels.
Yeah.
So the Ford brand within Detroit is extremely important to the community.
Yes.
Now, the Ford Mustang in particular was the longest produced car that Ford has ever rolled out, and it still has that passion with those new Mustangs coming through.
Yes.
Quite extraordinary.
Coming up after the break, we get to see the beautiful Mustangs out on the track in the Pure Michigan Mustang Celebration Trophy, so don't go anywhere.
Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.
Hello and welcome back to the Silverstone Festival, the home of historic motorsport and much, much more. Now let's head over to Martin Haven, who's going to bring us up to speed with everything that's happening on the track.
Mike Cantillon's 1982 Williams broke down on the opening lap of the Masters Racing Legends encounter for Kosothera Grand Prix cars. From second on the grid, Stuart Hall took the lead in a 1982 Ram March. Lucas Halusa and Christoph Dansenborg dancing in the mist in their Williamses. Roel Goethe spun his ex-Danny Hulme McLaren, and Stuart Hall just held off poleman Matt Wrigley's resurgent Tyrrell as they splashed to the flag. Will Nuttall led the pre-66 Grand Prix cars from pole in his rear-engine Cooper, while Richard Wilson spun his 1960 Ferrari Dino. Fellow front-engine racer Geraint Owen's giant Curtis 500 Indy Roadster looked set for a podium till he was run off track. After Nuttall retired, Charlie Martin span away the lead, holding up Sam Wilson and allowing John Spears to sneak through in the Maserati 250F to claim a famous front-engined victory. Still greasy conditions for the start at the Masters GT Trophy for modern GT cars, and the field split as to whether to take slicks or wets. As a result, grip was at a premium, and there were plenty of minor and some not so minor incidents. Dominic Malone and Adam Smalley's Porsche 911 spun harmlessly, while early leader Jonathan Mitchell climbed back up the field after the compulsory pit stops. The rain returned and John Minshaw opted not to pit for wet weather tyres, splashing through to victory in the BMW.
Now, earlier on in the show, I had the privilege of driving a classic Ford Mustang down Pacific Coast Highway in California. It's the perfect cruising car. It's beautiful to take a road trip and go out on the open highway, but it makes a very capable race car as well, like this one. And this is Mr. Jimmy Broadbent. Nice to meet you, man.
Good to meet you, man.
So just saying, I drove a classic Mustang on the roads, and this is effectively the same car, but different.
Yeah, kind of. Like, it's basically a racing spec. So a couple of small modifications to make it a bit more, I don't know, let's say racing on the circuit, but yeah, quite similar to the road version.
Because the one thing that strikes me is that Ford never set out to build a race car. It was actually an accessible, affordable family car.
Yeah.
And now, 60 years later, you're not only lapping it around here quite fast, you're doing quite well.
Yeah, I mean, this car is starting P2 today on the grid, so the fastest Mustang, which we're really happy with. But yeah, I mean, this thing to drive, it's just one big sideways moment, but it looks scarier than it is. You're always in control. It's an amazing thing to drive.
So what got you into getting into a race seat in the first place?
Well, I mean, my story is a bit weird because I didn't start racing until I was 30. I'm 33 now, and I came from the world of sim racing. Right. So I basically sat at home on my simulator in my bedroom, did tens of thousands of laps of every different circuit you can think of, every different car. And eventually, through putting my stuff on YouTube, I was noticed by a race team and given a shot. And that's where Alex found me as well, from Brundle Motorsport. And this is a two-driver race, right? Yes, so it's myself and also a fellow, I guess, sim to real-life racer, Jann Mardenborough. Who actually has a movie about him now. So, yeah, pretty... no pressure for me there to perform next to him. Right, well, I'm going to get out of your hair now because I know you need to focus. Yes.
I wish you very best.
Cheers,
and I'm going to be watching from the pit lane here, hoping that I see... yeah, please don't wait. Keep both hands on the wheel.
Oh, it's just so much fun. It really is. It's when you've grown up as a kid and you look at racing cars and racing driving, it's what you imagine a race car should be. It's got loads of power and very little grip.
Right.
And very little brakes. It's like, that's the perfect racing car.
Once you get it up to speed,
yeah,
don't brake.
You have to plan a long way ahead to sort of start slowing it down. So I'm waiting quite line. I'll arrive at a corner and I'll just hurl it in way too fast in the corner.
Yeah.
And then you just drift it through.
Fantastic.
And you're just laughing and smiling all the way through as you like power slide it out and then come out and you go, wow, that was so cool.
I was about to say, it's kind of one of those races where normally you're kind of sweating and you go, oh, you come out just smiling from ear to ear.
Exactly. It's just having a ball, just having a laugh. I mean, it's just magic. It really is.
Nigel, thank you so much. We're going to go out there and watch you.
Great.
Have fun.
We certainly will.
And, yeah, she's a beauty. And thank you for talking to me.
It's a great one. Pleasure.
Time now to celebrate the birthday of a four-wheeled icon, the Pure Michigan Mustang Celebration Trophy for pre-66 touring cars. Amongst the contenders on track, you'll see everything from the mighty Austin Mini Cooper, while at the other end of the spectrum, there's the incredible silhouette of the V8 Ford Falcon. And who could forget their 5-litre counterparts, the Ford Mustang, celebrating its 60th birthday in style at Silverstone. Plenty to feast your eyes on for this race as we enjoy a field of pre-66 touring cars.
The Pure Michigan Mustang Celebration Trophy race is underway here at Silverstone. The lights go out and away we go. 53 cars charge down to the, well, some of them are charging out the final corner. They charge down to the first corner eventually when they get there. Sam Tordoff taking the lead. Right behind him is Jann Mardenborough. No, there's Mardenborough on the right-hand side. We've got a Mustang off in the gravel. Mardenborough carried a little bit too much speed and went off. There's a Cortina off as well, and that means that's John Spears, the blue Mustang, in second place. The red 63 car with the gold roof, John Davidson, in third. Mardenborough comes back on in fourth, and just ahead of Michael Whittaker Jr., I think. And where's Andy Prio got to? He's not too far behind, but didn't get the cleanest of starts. It was a little bit of argy-bargy in the first couple of corners. Alistair Douglas, this is going to take a while for them to sort themselves out. Just look at this massive, fast-moving metal. Nigel Greensall in second place. It's almost like he's skating, actually, rather than sort of twitches of oversteer. It's just slides beautifully through the corners. He really makes this thing dance. Jann Mardenborough with quite a lot of understeer there in the third place Mustang, car number 41. Not hanging the tail out as much. Again, a little bit more of a single-seater driver maybe, trying to get the front to turn in rather than abandoning the steering and just pitching it at the corner.
Down into Club Corner, and Michael Whittaker lost out on the section at the other side of the circuit to Tom Sharp, but he's still trying, and he comes on a tighter line, comes up alongside Tom Sharp, and a lovely move there from Michael Whittaker Jr.
That group behind are lapping in the 2-minute 30s. The lead group here, Sam Tordoff, last lap, 2-minute 28.6, 2-minute 28.4 for Nigel Greensall, and Jann Mardenborough being very athletic in the background, trying to get round traffic and losing the battle of adhesion, 2:28.7, but he's dropped back a little fraction. So sometimes we've seen the Falcon close on the straight, sometimes we've seen the Mustang ease away on the straight, but again, that little mistake by Michael Whittaker in the white car with the black stripe, car number 49, just allowed Tom Sharp and Julian Thomas and James Davison to close in on him, so John Davison to close in on him. That's a real problem for the car that was battling in that fourth place group. And that is the end of the race for Tom Sharp. Out goes the car that was in second with Nigel Greensall. John Spears now at the wheel, the darker blue of the Mustangs, and then the metallic blue, the Brundle Mustang comes out, and that will have the Jimmer at the wheel, Jimmy Broadbent. Sam Tordoff still leading, and Julian Thomas all over the back of John Spears, and right with him is Jimmy Broadbent. So this is second, third and fourth. Pocket handkerchief time here. Final 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Here comes the challenge for Julian Thomas down the straight. Falcon can't quite squeeze inside, but John Spears braked late and offline, and through goes Julian Thomas. And there's the opportunity for Jimmy Broadbent as well. He's going to try and put the same pressure on John Spears. For Spears in the darker blue Mustang to defend, and then when he's gone in too deep or offline, try and go by him. And the same rules apply in real-life racing as do in sim racing, of course, where Jimmy Broadbent's got so much experience and so much success, and he goes around the outside. You can see him really working the steering of that Mustang. That's a great move. Don't forget, this guy is a relatively inexperienced real-life race driver. It's been a very impressive outing for this car of Sam Tordoff. Qualified the car on pole position ahead of all his rivals. He was 1.3 seconds clear of them, and he wins in Silverstone. And it should be a Falcon 1-2, it will be, but not by much, and there's going to be a sort out. Second place does just go to Julian Thomas ahead of Jimmy Broadbent, and then John Spears ahead of John Davison. Well, congratulations to our podium finishers, Sam Tordoff and Julian Thomas in the Ford Falcons, and Jann Mardenborough and Jimmy Broadbent. That was a great race from them.
The first stint in the car, Jann, it was a tricky first stint. It was a tricky first corner, but other than that, it was relatively nice and smooth.
Yes, it was fantastic, and big thank you to my teammate Jimmy and Alex from the Motorsports for allowing me to be gracious with this 65 Mustang to have a good fun today. I've had a pretty busy weekend, visited different countries in between Friday and today, but to finish third in Top Mustang, and I tried to stay with these guys at the start of the race, but it wasn't to be, but had great fun.
It looked like it was a lot of fun. It looked like there were hard things to handle. I can't see where Jimmy's gone. Jimmy's gone over there. Let's go and grab Jimmy. He's just this way, extreme close up there on my nostrils. But Jimmy, it was nice, wasn't it? Jimmy, you got given the keys to the car. You had to really, put your elbows out and get down and keep going.
Yeah, there were some really fast cars out there. I thought, okay, I'm in third. All right, that'll be easy. Then this guy overtakes me. Think, oh, okay, maybe not so easy. We were catching the blue Mustang for a while. I had to do something a bit silly around the outside of T1 to make it work, but I'm pumped after that. I was screaming in the car afterwards, this is the best form of racing. There's nothing better than this.
As you can see, there's still so much going on here at the festival, but unfortunately, that's it from us.
But we will be back for another action-packed instalment that includes the most Ayrton Senna cars to be in one gathering ever before.
I mean, I cannot wait to see that. We also catch up with the great man's niece, Lali Senna, as she shows us a very, very special tribute for him.
Yeah, and I get to test my racing knowledge as I go out on track and learn what it takes to become a racing driver. Come on.
No, I have faith,
I'm glad you do.
I do. But thank you so much for joining us. We still have so much to do and explore, so we'll see you in the next episode. But as for now, I'm going to go and have a little boogie down there.
You feel some dad dancing coming on?
Oh, no. You can dance at the other side.
I can dance?
Come on, let's go to the stage.
I want to see if you can dance.
Oh, yeah, I can. Strictly.
Celebrating the individual. Adrian Flux sponsors the Silverstone Festival highlights.